Hello and welcome to Decoding the New Economy. Today I'm joined by Kawasaki, the Chief Evangelist of Canva. Guy, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Let's kick off first with what the role of the Chief Evangelist is at Canva.
Yes, so evangelism, the word, comes from Greek roots, meaning spreading the good news. And so as the Chief Evangelist of Canva, my job is to spread the good news of Canva, how it's going to democratize design so that you don't have to buy expensive high-end programs and also learn how to use expensive high-end programs. So we're trying to make it like Google democratized information, Apple democratized computing, eBay democratized commerce. We're going to democratize design.
Right, so we're going to explain what Canva does.
Canva is an online graphics tool. It allows you to create graphic designs across the board for social media, Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, for your blogs where you need a beautiful graphic to illustrate the concept of your blog post, business cards, posters, I mean, you name it. Anything that has graphics, we can probably help you do.
Right, and how did the idea come about?
The idea, it's not my idea.
Right.
The idea came from Melanie and Cliff. They're the co-founders. And Melanie was an instructor in a university setting, teaching people how to use these high-end programs. And she noticed how difficult it was for them to learn these programs. So she thought, you know, to quote Steve Jobs, there must be a better way.
Yeah.
And so she created this better way called Canva.
Right. Now, this ties in now, being involved in the early days of Apple and seeing that whole rise of desktop publishing and so on. How do you see that whole industry evolving? This strikes me as another phase of that evolution.
Yes, it's kind of, you know, a continuum of democratization that before you had to be a university or a large company or a bank to own a computer.
Sure.
And now anybody with, you know, $1,000 can own a computer. Same thing with publishing. Before you had to, well, at the very beginning you were the Pope or you were a king and you had scribes, and then we have Gutenberg, and now more people can read the Bible, and then we have desktop publishing, and then we have websites, and now we have Kindle self-publishing.
Yeah.
So we're just moving down the line. And I think this is one of those things that before, if you were a designer, you worked for maybe a king or the Pope, right?
Yeah.
But now, then you had your special rapidograph and your special rulers and your special everything, and then there was Photoshop, which you know, democratized design. Now with the Macintosh and Photoshop, you too could be a designer. And now we're taking that just one more level that anybody can try this.
Yeah, when you describe that, every phase has a shrinking period there. So Gutenberg to desktop publishing took hundreds of years.
Yes.
And then we see it getting shorter and shorter. How do you see the pace of change in technology?
It's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
I don't have any, I can't scientifically and mathematically correctly quote you that exactly I've done this study to prove it. But it sure seems like things are moving fast. Well, desktop publishing was like 1987.
Right.
And, you know, wow. And 1987 to today is not that many years. And look at the changes that's occurred.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So you make a big point about democratization there. I talk to a lot of startup founders, and this seems to be one of the big mantras from Spanish entrepreneurs from Silicon Valley here in Australia. Why this focus on democratization?
Well, I think it's because you're editing this, right? So I can. I think it's because. Well, wait. Let me start again. It's because the world is getting to be, hopefully, more and more of a meritocracy.
Right.
And so it's not your pedigree. It's not who your family is. It's not your level of wealth. It should be more about your competence. And this is a very good force, that if the world is more competency-based, I think it's fairer. And I think that it takes so much energy to support unfairness and to support aristocracies and oligopolies.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's a difficult trend to fight. Whereas democracy, where everybody can use a computer, everybody can design, everybody can write a book, that's that horse is out of the barn.
Right.
It's going to be very hard to put that horse back.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs, young, naive, romantic, idealistic, seeing the world as a place that could be a better place, they understand that this is one of those huge trends. I think it's very difficult to wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to make it so that people have less opportunity.
Yeah.
That hard to imagine people are saying that. I'm sure there are countries where they do that. But in general, I think it's about merit.
Yeah. So we're seeing, on that theme, we're seeing those barriers to entry in so many industries now shrinking away, as you say, $1,000 to get a computer, which a decade ago, a generation ago, would cost tens of millions of dollars. What things excite you in all of these changes that you're seeing at the moment?
Well, there's the big democracy trend, right? It's also, I think that, believe it or not, things are getting cheaper and cheaper. And take it from the point of view of a tech entrepreneur. Before you had to buy a room full of servers, have an IT staff in multiple cities, because if one city had an earthquake, your site couldn't go down. Now you call up Amazon or you call up Rackspace and you host your site in the sky. Before you had to buy advertising, what a concept. Now, if you are adept at social media, with Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, Instagram, you have a marketing platform that's fast and free and ubiquitous. So what excites me is not so much particular technologies, because it's very hard to predict that. I'm not good at it. But what excites me is that there are going to be more technologies, more products, more services, because the barriers are so low. Now, this is not to say that because there are lower barriers, every product will be good, just like saying that because anybody can self-publish a book, every book is good. Not true. But at least there's more opportunity. It's a more equal playing field. And I think that's a very good development for all of mankind.
So you mentioned publishing there. That's another area that, particularly Canva, one of the case studies that we saw before recording this was the creating book covers and making that and speaking from experience, that is a real hassle.
It's a hassle.
What I'm interested in with Canva is that just how I hadn't really thought of how applicable this technology is to all sorts of industries.
Well, certainly. I'll just go down the line. So if you're a self-published author, you can now go to Canva, and there are a set of designs for book covers, and fully customizable. But we give you a starting point, right? As opposed to most applications, the starting point is a blank window, which is, shall I say, challenging. If you are an Etsy shopkeeper and you want to make a beautiful logo avatar, you want to make a beautiful cover photo, album photo, Canva has a way to do that. If you want to make a beautiful ad for Pinterest, because now you can promote pins, we have a set of ads created for that. So what we're trying to do is not take away creativity, but foster creativity, because we're giving you a starting point from which you can edit, improve, perfect, add your own flavor. And that is a great thing. It's very useful. And I think, anybody who uses graphics understands the power of visual marketing. Visual marketing is, I think, a game changer.
So just to finish up, what would be your advice to anybody looking at starting up a startup today?
Okay. I think the most important piece of advice I can give someone thinking of starting up is to not focus on your PowerPoint presentation, your Microsoft Word business plan, your Excel spreadsheet. The thing you should focus on is getting a prototype to market. If you get a prototype to market, you learn so much more than all the cogitation, all the late nights discussing with your co-founder, what should we do? At that point, you will truly know if you're onto something. And so the focus should be on building a prototype. And if you build a prototype that works, you may never have to write a business plan, do a financial forecast, or create a PowerPoint pitch. That would be ideal. You never have to raise money. You can probably bootstrap it. So the key to a startup is prototyping.
Yeah.
not planning.
Right. So launch, don't think.
This is a concept of the lean startup, the minimal viable product. I would add a slight, I would say, improvement to MVP, which is, I would say it's MVVVP.
Right.
So there's minimum, there's viable, there's also valuable. Because you could create a product that's viable, i.e. you could make money,
Yeah.
but is it valuable in the sense of, is it changing the world?
Sure.
And the second V I would add is validating. That is, if you have a vision for the democratization of design, is your MVP, is your first product something that will validate your vision? And if it's not, arguably, why are you doing it?
Right.
So I would suggest to entrepreneurs that rather than just minimal viable product, they think of a minimum, viable, valuable, and validating product. So
Right.
it's an MVVVP.
Okay. And that's a really good thing to end up on, Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
My
today.
pleasure.
And thank you for joining Decoding the New Economy.